Hey everybody, this is Brian with Bear Cards 34, back with another show and tell video. This is probably the second to last of the show and tell videos for 1984 and 1985 USFL football cards. And after that, I plan on heading back to the year 77, to do a show and tell video on that. I just picked up a handful of cards, so I'm almost done with the set and should be putting that out in November, if not sooner. Today I'm going to start things off with Mike Rosier, just a very, very talented running back. Had a great college career at the University of Nebraska. In fact, he was so good that he pushed Roger Craig into the fullback position. And as you can see from that Pro Set card right there, he won the Heisman in 1983. He was basically unstoppable. That year he had over 2,500 total yards, 29 touchdowns, and he averaged almost 8 yards per carry. That final year, he injured his ankle in the Rose Bowl, and he ended up being drafted. He played 2 seasons with the Pittsburgh Maulers, and he actually, in the USFL, has a record for the most rushing attempts in a game. Back in 1985, he had 38 attempts rushing in one game. So with Rosier, the USFL draft had been basically done by region. It was to kind of appeal to local fans as well as the players who had played in those areas. But in the 84 draft, when Rosier came out, they had 6 new expansion teams. And so those expansion teams got the first 6 picks. And that's how Rosier ended up with the Maulers. His final year, he played right here with the Bulls. But he was very talented during his time there. He showed flashes of what he was going to be doing in the NFL. And he started off slowly because of that ankle injury. I actually watched a video interview of him during his first season with the Maulers, and he talked about how he was slow just because he was rehabbing from that injury. But after that year with the Maulers, he moved over to Jacksonville to play with the Bulls, and then on to the NFL with the Oilers, the Houston Oilers. He had a solid career there. He was part of that run-and-shoot offense with Warren Moon and those really talented receivers that they had. He played 6 years with the Oilers, including 2 Pro Bowls. This is his rookie card, his official rookie card. That's the 1986 Topps football card. And during that time there, he made 2 Pro Bowls, and he has a couple of 1,000-yard club cards. So this one right here, this is after the 1987 season. Because of the strike-shortened season, anyone with 750 or more yards was included in the 1,000-yard club. Now, he definitely would have had that anyway. If you look here, he missed 4 total games, but he still had 957 yards. And then he did run for 1,000 the next year. 1,002 yards, just barely, but he did make it. And, Mike Rosier, after his years with the Houston Oilers, he was traded during the 1990 season to the Atlanta Falcons. He retired after the 1991 season and ended his NFL career with over 4,500 rushing yards and 30 rushing touchdowns, but a very talented player for sure, and a Heisman Trophy winner. Next up of note, I thought I'd include Rick Neuheisel. He didn't really do anything in the NFL, but he had a really good career in college and started off at UCLA in the early 80s. And then he did 2 years in the USFL with the San Antonio Gunslingers. During his time there, he threw for over 5,600 yards and 32 touchdowns, but he also had 40 interceptions. He did play briefly with the Chargers during the replacement games in 1987. And he also played part of 87, I think it was 87, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well. But the reason I'm really including him is from what I knew him from growing up, which was as a head coach in college football. He was the head coach at UCLA, Colorado, Washington. And so just thought I'd mention him for those of you who remember him either from his playing days or his coaching days. Next up, another talented running back, Gary Anderson. He played from 1983 to 1985 with the Tampa Bay Bandits after a solid career at Arkansas. He ran for 1,000 yards in 84, and he also led the USFL with 19 rushing touchdowns that year. And then in 85, it was even better. He had over 1,200 yards rushing, and another 16 touchdowns. He was a USFL All-Star, and he's the fourth leading rusher in USFL history. So not only did he play in the USFL in 1985 in the spring and summer, but then he also played in the fall of 1985 with the San Diego Chargers. And most of his playing time that rookie season was as a kick returner. He had a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown during that rookie season in the NFL and was part of the all-rookie team. In 1986, he started to have more time as a running back. And on his 87 card, you can even see running back / kick returner. And he caught 80 receptions and had 8 touchdowns in 1986 and actually made the Pro Bowl that year. I always really liked this team card for the Chargers with the color stripes in the background. Anderson evades defender for the team card there. And then his best year was in 1988, the year this card came out. And a year later in 89, this is the 89 set. But he had 1,100 yards rushing, and he was the team MVP for the Chargers that season. However, in 1989, he had a contract dispute, and he sat out the whole entire season. And then he signed on with Tampa Bay in 1990. So he played for the Tampa Bay Bandits in the USFL and then went over to Tampa Bay to play for the Buccaneers as well. And I remember when he was on the Buccaneers, I wrote to him back then, and he signed an autograph, this Proline card, which was pretty cool to be able to get this. This is, I believe, his last football card from Topps right here, from 91 Topps. Actually, I know they made a game day card of him in 92 as well. But anyway, he had a really good first year with Tampa Bay, ran for over 700 yards, but then not much of an impact after that. And he did retire after the 1993 season. In 1995, he actually came back and played for the CFL for 14 games as well. Next up, I wanted to include John Reeves. As you can see from that card on the right, that's his 1973 rookie card. He had an 11-year NFL career. He was a journeyman backup. During his rookie season with the Eagles, he actually did earn a starting spot and was part of the NFC All-Rookie team that first year. He was born in 1950. He passed away back in 2017 at the age of 67. He was the 14th pick of the draft in 72 out of Florida by the Eagles. And at the time, he was the all-time leading passer in college football history. He went on to play with the Bengals for a few years, and then the Vikings in 79 and 80, and then on to the Houston Oilers in 1981. But he was out of football in 1982. But like a few other veteran players, he signed with the USFL. He played for the Tampa Bay Bandits in 1983. He played 8 games before a wrist injury. And then in 84, he was more healthy. He passed for over 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns. And in 1987, he was also a replacement player for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had the most passing attempts in a game in the USFL, 63 in April of 1983. And he also had 38 completions. He passed for over 10,000 yards in the USFL, along with 3,600 yards in the NFL. Next up is Reggie Collier. He had a memorable career at Southern Miss. I wanted to include him just because of his college career. In 1981, his junior season, he became the first quarterback in college football to rush for and pass for over 1,000 yards each in a season. His number 10 is retired at Southern Miss. And he was the 3rd overall pick in 83 in the USFL draft by the Birmingham Stallions. He had an injury-plagued rookie season, ended his USFL career with 4,100 passing yards and a little over 1,000 rushing yards. He spent a little time with the Cowboys in 1986 and with the Steelers in 87, but never really caught on in the NFL. But a really talented, fun player to watch. Next up, we've got Craig James, another really talented running back. He was really well known for being part of that Pony Express running back duo at SMU? Yeah, I don't know why I said Southern Miss. Yeah, SMU with Eric Dickerson. And he was very talented. He was part of that 1983 draft that was just so amazing. He also chose to go to the USFL like some of these other guys. He was the 4th pick of the draft by the Washington Federals. He said it was he chose the USFL because he wanted to help pioneer a new league. He had over 800 yards as a rookie, and then he was injured in 84 and released because of money issues. And so the Patriots, who had drafted him in '83 in the 7th round, signed him. And it was a really good choice that they had done that. In 1984, he was a backup. But in 1985, he just had an amazing season. That was the year they went and played the Bears in the Super Bowl. And obviously the Bears, wiped them out pretty good. But Craig James had a great year. And he ran for over 1,000 yards that season. Here's his 1,000-yard club card from the '86 top set. He also made the Pro Bowl that year. And in the championship game against Miami, he had over 100 yards. Really great game for him in that. But in the Super Bowl, he had 5 carries for 1 yard, if I remember right. His brother is a former Major League Baseball player, Chris James. Now, he never really recaptured his 85 season, and he retired in 1988. There's this Pro Set card of Craig James and Leonard Russell that they had made as well. But, that 85 season was a memorable one to remember. I'm sure Patriots fans remember that fondly. And a great college career as well. So just one more guy to highlight out of that USFL set. And I thought I'd throw Luis Zendejas in here just because, he was part of that famous kicking family. There were just so many Zendejas kickers. Tony and Marty Zendejas. Here's Tony right here. Are his cousins, and his brothers Max and I can't remember the other guy's name, also were kickers in the NFL. He was an '83 All-American at Arizona State, played 3 years with the Cowboys, a year with the Eagles in the mid-'80s, and that '85 season he was with the Arizona Outlaws. Next up is William Fuller. This is a guy I was a big fan of. He was a sack machine, a very consistent pass rusher for 13 years in the NFL. But again, he also got his start in the USFL. He started with the Philadelphia Stars. He was a 2-time All-American at North Carolina, team MVP his final season. And he was a 2-time USFL champ with the Stars. And then in '86, when the USFL folded, he joined the Rams, actually. But then his rights were traded to the Oilers. He went 2 years without much notice. That's his 1989 Topps rookie card in the middle. But he ended up becoming a big-time player in the NFL. This is his Pro Bowl card after the 1991 season with the 92 Pro Set right there. And he was a 4-time Pro Bowler, and in 1995 he had his best season. He was an All-Pro that year. He ended his career, he was part of the 100 quarterback sack clubs, 8 years with the Oilers, and then he had 3 years with the Eagles, and then 2 with Chargers, maybe? I can't remember for sure, but he did finish up. I think he played with 3 teams total in the NFL. So yeah, over 100 sacks for his career, 19 forced fumbles. He had a couple interceptions, and he scored a touchdown on defense too. He was a very, very good player. And I believe 1 year he led the AFC in quarterback sacks as well. Now, speaking of players that I'm a big fan of, Sam Mills was one of my all-time favorite players as a kid. He was just so intense, so tough. Little guy, like a lot shorter than other, inside linebackers, which was kind of the knock against him. And he really had to kind of fight to prove himself and ended up having a Pro Football Hall of Fame career. I was so happy when he made it into the Hall of Fame. He didn't have any offers after high school. So he became a walk-on at Montclair State College, where he made the team, and became the school's all-time leader in tackles for a career. Then in 1981, he signed as an undrafted free agent with the Cleveland Browns. And I even thought about that. Man, that would have been cool to have a 1982 Topps rookie card of Sam Mills with the Cleveland. However, he did not make the team. So in 1982, he then signed with the Toronto Argonauts, and he didn't make the team there either. And a big part of that was that 5'9" size. But he proved all those experts wrong. And the Philadelphia Stars, when the USFL started up, gave him a chance. And he got the nickname Field Mouse because he was small but fast. And the GM of the Stars was quoted as saying, "He was a mouse running around a field of elephants wanting nothing to do with him. He was great in the USFL, 3-time USFL All-Star. And then after his time with the USFL, where he again, won a championship with the Stars, Jim Mora, who had been a coach there with him, became the Saints head coach, and so he took Mills with him to the New Orleans Saints. He had a 12-year career with the Saints and Panthers. This is his All-Madden team card with Vaughn Johnson, another guy who played in the USFL. Here's one of his Pro Bowl cards. He was a 3-time All-Pro. Here's his Fleer Insert All-Pro card. I always really liked that set. 3-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler. He's in the Saints and Panthers Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2005 from cancer. He was only 45 years old. He had been the Panthers linebacker coach at the time when he got sick. He played in 181 games, had almost 1,300 tackles, and luckily in 2022 was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Just a great guy, smart, intelligent, fast, tough player, and I'm a big fan of his. And so really happy to have that USFL rookie card. I'm really glad he was included in that set. And then you've got the 88 Topps rookie card in the middle there as well. All right, next up, another kicker, Tony Fritsch. Now, I was not going to include him. I did not know all that much about him. I just remember him being included in some of the sets that I had and thought, yeah, he looks like a kicker. But he has such an interesting story that I really wanted to include him. He was born in Austria back in 1945, and he played professional soccer, association football. He played that from 1963 to 71 as a striker and had never played a down of American football. And in 1971, the Dallas Cowboys scout team were looking in Europe for soccer-style kickers. And they saw Fritsch in Vienna, and on the spot, they offered him a place on their taxi squad, which is now considered the practice squad. So he went to Dallas. He spoke very little English. He had never played American football. So now, 1971, he went from that to actually making the Cowboys roster and playing in the NFL. And during his rookie season, he kicked a game-winning field goal versus the St. Louis Cardinals. And then by 72, he set a Cowboys record with 21 field goals. And in 1979, you can see on his 1980 card here, he was actually All-Pro. He was a Super Bowl champ in 1972. And, his rookie card is 1974, I believe. And I don't have that one, but after hearing his story, I think I'm going to try to pick that one up. I think that would be a cool one to have. So he became the first player, and I think maybe even only player, to win both a professional championship for soccer or association football and an NFL championship. He came out of retirement in 1984 because he had retired after the 82 season and went on to play with the Gamblers, and he was part of the all-USFL team. So a very talented kicker, and made his way from, quote-unquote soccer into having a really good, long NFL career as well. I believe, let's see, he passed away. I feel like it was early 2000s or maybe 2004 or 5. He was only 60, 61 years old. But yeah, very, very interesting story there for Tony Fritsch. All right, 3 more players to highlight. We'll do Richard Johnson next. He was a talented wide receiver. He played college originally at Los Angeles Harbor Community College, then went on to Colorado. He had a great USFL career. In 1984, he had 115 catches for 1,455 yards and 15 touchdowns. At the time, those 115 catches were the most in pro football history in a season. He had a very short NFL career, but in 1987, he was with the Washington Redskins. Then he went on to Detroit. In 1987, he only had 1 reception, but then in 1988, he had a 1,000-yard season, and this is his 1,000-yard club card right there. Now, after that, in 1990, he still started all 16 games, and he had over 700 yards receiving, and then he was just gone. I looked it up. This is his 1991 Upper Deck card. That's his final card that was made. But I don't know what happened to him at that point. I looked up and couldn't find anything about any injuries or any other issues. Just suddenly he was just out of the league. If anyone knows why, like a Lions fan or anybody else, definitely let me know. I'd be curious. But yeah, an amazing USFL career, and then he had that huge season for the Lions, and a good follow-up year, and then just kind of out of the league at that point, which happens sometimes with the players. But definitely wanted to include him, especially with that 115 catch season. Next up is Gerald McNeal, who was a really talented return specialist. On the left there, you see his XRC from 85 Topps, and then you've got his 1987 Topps rookie card. He was born in West Germany and was an All-American at Baylor. Second-round draft pick by the Browns in 1984, but like some of the others, he chose the USFL, where he played for 2 years. He was a receiver as well. He had 1,500 yards receiving, 900 return yards. And he led the USFL in punt returns in 1985 before going over to the Browns in 86. His best season was 87, which is when he went to the Pro Bowl as a kick return, punt return specialist. And he actually had that year, or no, as a rookie, he had a kick return and a punt return for touchdowns during that season. In 1990, he went on to sign with the Houston Oilers and finished his career up there. But a fun, very talented guy, short as well. I mean, he, what is he, 5'7"? 5'8", according to this card right here. But yeah, just a, very talented return man. And then you see right there, nickname Ice Cube. And definitely remember him very well from when I was a kid. All right, and last up, another fun return specialist. This is Clarence Vernon. In 1984, he was in the USFL. I think he went to Washington, if I remember right. Let's see, I'm going to look at one of the back of his cards. No, Southwest Louisiana. That's right. He went on to play for Washington after the USFL. So anyway, and he won a championship. He was part of the Super Bowl championship team for them. So he was a talented return specialist, played in the USFL in 84 and 85. He had a 94-yard kickoff return for a touchdown his first year in the NFL. And once, he had played with Washington for a couple years and then moved over to Indianapolis, where he was a 2-time Pro Bowler. In fact, there's this card right here from ProSet, 1990 NFL punt return leader right there. And they also included the Pro Bowl players that year had these really great artwork images done, and he was able to include that. He's also known for his touchdown celebration, which they called the Verdance. That's a fun one. You should look that up on YouTube if you get a chance. And so 2-time Pro Bowler, led the NFL in kickoff return yards in 1993 as well, I believe. That was his last Pro Set card from 92 right there, I believe. But anyway, talented return specialist. So, having, guys like McNeal and Clarence Vernon in the NFL, they really brought a lot of excitement to the return game. Anyway, that will do it for today. I think there probably will be one more show and tell video for USFL. I think I'll be able to wrap that up in one more video. I know these are a little long, and I know everybody's busy and has a lot going on, so I appreciate you taking the time to watch these. Hope you enjoy them, and I'll tell you that, I love making these. These are some of my favorite videos to make. And anyway, hope everyone's doing well, and as always, go Bears.